Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Weird West on PS5. The concept of the Weird Western has been with us for some time, easily stretching back to famed Conan author Robert E. Howard's short story The Horror from the Mound, about a gunfighter facing off against a vampire in his desert cave lair, if not even farther than that. Yet it seems only recently are video games catching on to this idea, even though we have examples of it already in existence. Let's discuss that a bit with today's topic, 2022's Weird West. What exactly is a Weird Western? The concept is both somewhat nebulous and broad, yet it can be specific as well. Mostly, it is any Western, a genre of American cinema that glorifies the frontier spirit of the U.S. expansion between the years of 1830 and 1899, while at the same time ignoring or absolving the atrocities committed under Manifest Destiny with a rootin' tootin' gun shootin' action. That deviates from expected norms of the genre. And what are those norms exactly? Usually, the things that have made up our very particular American mythos that confuses the utter hell out of foreign visitors. One man, our typical good guy with a gun, using his wits, grits, and spit to wipe out any number of thugs, thieves, rapists, and corrupt public officials to restore capital J justice, whatever that may be in the eyes of the writer, director, and viewing public. Many of these norms often reinforce ethnic stereotypes, and it is hard to see the good side in John Wayne wiping out hordes of native warriors, or Yul Brynner staring down Mexican banditos on screen, but this is what happened and what actors did. The real West, as we know it, was a much messier place, fraught with politics, racism, restrictive immigration acts, unevenly enforced gun laws, and lawmen switching sides between criminal and upstanding citizen as easily as breathing, or outright ignoring crime because there was money involved, or it was needed to pacify frustrated men who had failed to find steady work back east, or perhaps were chased out of such awful conditions, that most of these silver screen fairy tales fall apart under even the lightest of scrutiny. Yet in the public mind, they persist as monolithic and factual. A weird Western can be all of that, but it is usually something else. It still has the look of the genre: cowboys, lace clad prostitutes, horses, six shooters, all that good shit. Yet it often has much that bleeds over into fantasy, sci fi, and horror genres. It is hardly unusual in such tales to see wizards with revolvers, steampunk gunslingers riding demon powered rails, half crazed vigilantes bearing silver bullets because there are honest to God real werewolves out there that need exterminating, or anything else that might be considered anachronistic. Some cinematic examples of the genre could include Clint Eastwood's High Plains Drifter, which is something of an acid trip revenge tale, or Italian director Sergio Corbucci's Django, about an ex-Union soldier who drags around a coffin containing a Gatling gun and wreaks bloody war on the U.S.-Mexico border. There are plenty of books on the subject. I highly recommend the Splatter Western series, Edward Erdlach's Macabre Writer series, and many others, to be honest. Hell, yours truly even tried his hand at self-publishing Weird Western, although it was long ago. The Weird Western has sunk into just about every corner of geekery, from tabletop role-playing games such as the long-running and award-winning Deadlands game, to movies like Firefly or Cowboys vs. Aliens, and to, of course, video games. What video games, you might ask? Well, let me tell you then. First out of the gate is arcade classic Sunset Riders. And although you wouldn't think it, the game is, with its weird bullshit and Konami sensibilities, has put it into the weird western genre, if only by accident. Darkwatch is another weird western, a horror FPS about a vampire gunslinger looking to stop something that got away from the US government. More modern takes on the genre are Blood West, Evil West, and of course today's game. I've discussed the Red Dead series enough that it should be added to the list. Between the wild shit Capcom did with Red Dead Revolver, that Rockstar actually toned down when they bought and published the title, and even some of the characters from Red Dead 1, were as weird Western as it gets, like The Strange Man. I have called Red Dead Redemption 2 a low-key survival horror game, and no amount of actualing me will change my mind on or change the elements Rockstar themselves put into the game to make it a weird Western. And motherfucker, if you don't think you don't have to do inventory and resource management in Red Dead 2, then you didn't actually play the fucking game. Yet there are others, both broadly included and directly created, to use the genre and its conventions to tell a story. But speaking of story, let's get into that. You play, well, several people over the course of this tale. 5 if we are keeping track. A human bounty hunter out for revenge after her family is killed, a literal pigman seeking clarity, a native man looking to protect his land, a werewolf trying to stop an apocalypse, and a witch uncovering the terrible secrets of her cult to stop its leader. I see your 3-body problem and raise you 5. The overplot of the game is that a cult has created a burning brand, a mark, burned into the neck of someone in robes, who is seated and tied to a stone chair, with several figures whom your characters will meet throughout their journeys. With each character, a shadowed portrait around a pillar circular chamber is illuminated, and each of these characters is somehow tied to this figure in the chair who is being grilled, figuratively and literally, by this cult. Most of this is pretty cryptic and won't make much sense until the end, but we'll get there to explain it all. I should note that this does not take place in the real world. Weird West is its own thing, which the many ethnicities of our own world being just people, plain old people, interacting without issue. Except for the pigmen, witches, and werewolves, whom regular folk fear, and the natives, who came out of the east and stick to themselves and are mysterious. The map is a riot of swamps, forests, deserts, and mountains, with tons to uncover as far as towns, villages, mines, camps, and places to die, with random encounters across simple map tiles in abundance. Everything is in a top-down format, which can be scaled to show finer detail at the expense of seeing where you are going, and therefore what threats are ahead. You can sneak, shoot, toss dynamite, or use special abilities gained through things like golden playing cards and the hides of critters called nymphs. Just to make things even more unsettling, be prepared for horses and dogs to yell out things like "Praise Yib!" before going back to being normal animals, or having to shoot down angry wraiths and rabid bears with equal ease. Nothing to see here, I guess. First up is Jane Bell, an ex-bounty hunter who got married and buried her guns, only to have her son and husband shot dead one day by marauders, and for the burning brand to appear on her neck. Hers is a tale as old a trope as Wild West itself. But her tale ends when she uncovers a trail of her family's supernatural killers with the help of, and at the cost of, an old friend who has become something other than human. Next is Clarence Quigg, a consonants and vowels removed pigman, or more correctly, a man whose brain was switched into the body composed of pig parts. Clarence, while human, was a scumbag brothel owner who got too interested in one of the girls, and she, in turn, had a witch swap him out of his body. His quest for redemption involves killing a soul-devouring tree. Then there is Across Rivers, a native protector, charged with the destruction of the spirit of the Wendigo, the spirit of greed, and releasing the spirits of those trapped by the beast's power. Next up is Desi Rios, a werewolf defender of his faith who must destroy or cause the rising of the blood moon, or hidden blood moon meteor, which can save or damn the werewolves and the West. Finally, there is Constance Driftwood, the witch, or more correctly, Onirist, who on Dream Quest realizes her order is rotten to the core and must unseat the leader of her order lest her leader and her 21 ancient immortal companions destroy the world. And that is really kind of the plot. A group of ancients struck an accord with something beyond space and time for immortality, but in the course of their long lives lost their humanity. And to end their suffering, they wish to destroy the world and everything in it, since they can no longer just commit suicide. The problem is one of their cabal decides to strike a separate deal. If this person can somehow relive their life as a mortal, 5 lives to be exact, and make different decisions along the way, they will remember what it was like to be human and save everyone else, and thus be allowed to die. Perhaps, if they do it right. Along the path of each of the 5 characters, your decisions matter. And I know we say that a lot in games these days. But each choice is truly tagged as monumental. How many people you rob or kill, how many you save, what major or minor choices you make. Did you allow to die or kill the companions you hired, including the former player characters of each previous campaign that you can hire once again as mercenary companions? Weird West does not end with some epic gun battle or supernatural shoot 'em up, but with the soul bonded to each of the brand of each of the 5, having worn over the course of the game, being quizzed by the 21 cult members, meaning the game is actually quizzing you, the player, on what you believe is the best course of action you took throughout the game, whether it was a gunfight, sneaking mission, or story beat. So you better be happy with your actions and choices all game long, or be able to bullshit quickly. I was able to get the save the world option, but it was a damn close thing. For a top-down twin-stick RPG shooter, you get a surprising amount of things to do as a side quest for each quest. You can absolutely hunt bounties on either random characters or sometimes NPCs from the previous journeys, mine for ore, hunt dangerous monsters, buy newer and better guns, melee weapons, and bow and arrows, upgrade armor with animal hides, or just explore. You will have lots of places to wander or sneak through: mines, haciendas, abandoned and haunted villages, bandit lairs, ancient temples, and the like. Challenges might be similar, but these are great opportunities to build up cash and your arsenal. You can also learn quite a bit about the world your characters inhabit, as there are snippets of lore everywhere. You can also unlock abilities that carry over to each character and abilities specific to each character which do not cross over. The gold card abilities are far more useful, in my opinion, but some of the character-specific abilities can be fun and have moments of great use. The most useful skill each character has, however, is the bullet time dodge roll that can be done mid-combat that allows you to unload bullets faster than you rightly should, and even reload in bullet time to save your hide, as healing comes in medkits, and they are expensive to buy and sometimes hard to find. Overall, gameplay is great, and the story, while time-worn, plays out well with a fun end-game style we do not often see in games. Weird West, while having supernatural elements, is not thought of as a horror game by its developers, which makes sense. It is not scary, nor are the creeps and monsters hidden. They are just an accepted part of the world. Doesn't mean it can't be unsettling, as I said earlier, but it's not hide under the covers scary. Strangely enough, Chris Avellone, famed writer on the early Fallout games, Planescape, Interplay, and Obsidian Entertainment staffer — Christ, do I really need to relay the man's entire resume to you at this point? — was brought on to coach the team at developer Wolfeye Studios in the composition of the plot. And Elizabeth Lapense, probably misspelled that or mispronounced that, I apologize, was brought on to help give the native player characters and culture a more authentic feel to the game, which I do appreciate. So quite the powerful set of helping hands to get this title off the ground. Critics of the game gave it generally positive reviews, mostly in the 70s and 80s in point systems, but the reviews are all over the place. Most agreed the characters were good, but that's about where the agreement ends. Some said graphics were not good enough for their behemoth overpriced personal computers. Others said the loot sucked or the morality was fickle, or that the control scheme was not good. Okay, I suppose. I certainly had no issue with the controls, with a minor adjustment in the options screen, but I guess I can kind of see it. Otherwise, fuck you on graphics. That's a personal taste issue, not an actual problem, you fucking elitist pig. This isn't a looter shooter, you gutter-licking twat. Thank you for missing the entire point. And as for the fickle morality in a game where your morality is questioned, I don't know what to tell you, pal. Hire a therapist and get your religious guilt off your chest that way. Don't expect the video game to solve why the pastor touched your dick when you were 8. Do I think reviews such as this hurt Weird West? Well, that is hard to say. Those are hardly bad review scores, but we are neck deep in a toxic culture where any game that gets less than 9.5 and isn't a copy paste of some other popular game's mechanics isn't worth most players' time. Devolver Digital was the publisher, and I have loved several of their games they published and will likely love more in the future. But let's be honest, Devolver likes to take on titles that are oddball or outside the norm of the AAA market. And I thank them for doing this because games like Weird West, who need a publisher but have some sort of unusual premise that might otherwise get them left behind. But they have a reputation too. You either love them or you don't. So reviewers could be holding that against the game as well. I don't know. I picked this thing up on the PlayStation monthly free games thingy, and I'm very glad I did. This was worth my time. In my review of Evil West, I spoke about one of my great loves outside of video games, but still in the gaming realm, that being the tabletop role-playing game Deadlands. I've said I would love to see a true action RPG horror game with third-person shooting set in the Old West, with as much atmosphere and horror as a fictitious potential developer can cram in. And this will, of course, never happen. But if someone is listening, knows a guy or gal out there who can make this happen, I'd love to talk to them about this subject. And while I still believe Evil West gets the sometimes crazy action of Deadlands right, Weird West gets the open world exploration and some of the level advancement, role-playing nature, and overall, no pun intended, weirdness of that setting correct too. So perhaps I am getting my dream game very slowly, in pieces, over the course of several disparate games, across a bunch of different studios. Hey, Devolver, I can be found online. Drop me a line if you want to talk. I'm sure one of the developers you work with can help get something done. I also have another game idea I'd like to chat about, speaking of horror. Weird West is honestly a good game, but it can be niche due to its subject, which is too bad. I think a lot of players missed out on this one. But I do think this is one more people need to pick up, even if on deep discount, just to try it out, even if you don't stick with it. The art style, the aesthetic, the horses loudly praising their god in between chews of hay, it is all worth your time. Westerns are certainly not as popular in media as they once were, but they have had a staying power in the cultural psyche that has proven more durable even than the century that birthed it. In another century, this will almost certainly pass into obscurity. But for now, we have the opportunity to explore the setting in all of its potential shades and tints, shapes and iterations, even the weird and obscure ones. Thank you for listening. Deleted Saves would like to thank Brad, Keith Gasper, Orden Wells, and Mass Lama for being patrons of the show. If you would like to become a patron of the show, please go to patreon.com and check out the Deleted Saves podcast. All donations go directly towards maintaining the show itself. Thank you.